We do have Lomas Brown on the line with us, and we certainly don't want to make him wait any longer. Lomas Brown, a nominee for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He also is a Lions radio analyst, the former Lions great. Lomas Brown on Woodward Sports Network. Lomas, how you doing, my friend?
I'm great, man.
Long.
How you guys doing?
Hey, Lo. What's up, Big Long?
What up, man? What up, Braylon? What up?
Hey, Lomas, you always have a smile on your face, but at least seemingly you always have a smile on your face. But now as a official nominee for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, what does that mean to you inside?
I mean, it's a great honor, man, just to be nominated. With all the greats that have played this game, and just to have your name with them, just being nominated, it's just a wonderful thing. And, like Braylon knows, man, it's all the hard work that you put in, not only, in the pros, but college and high school to get to that point. It's just a great honor, man. So I appreciate the nomination that they're giving the big fella.
Before I ask you any questions, Lom, I have to show love. I've known Loman since the 80s. My dad and he were on the same team, like Big Unc. Lom, and he's always been great to me. He's always given me guidance. He's always put a smile on my face to see what he's done with the Detroit Lions, what he did for the Detroit Lions. 17 years, as well as the NFL, 17 years, 7 straight Pro Bowls, 1 All-Pro, Super Bowl win, the list goes on. You deserve your flowers while you're still here, man. So I'm glad, Unc, that you're getting that notoriety. But I do have a question behind that, though. I have to do my job, too. So you were there in 1985. You get drafted in 85. You didn't have any success under Darryl Rogers in the beginning. And then all of a sudden they get Wayne Fontes in 88. And then you guys go on to the NFC Championship game in 91. Talk about switching regimes, because that's what the Lions are in a bit of right now. They're going from Matt Patricia and not having success and tearing down the organization to Dan Campbell. And, now we're trying to point out some fine points and some positivity. Talk about what it took and how it changed in the flip. Like, what does it take to flip the switch in 2 different regimes?
Yeah, and brother, you're right, man. I sure appreciate the love, my brother, but it's always gonna be growing pains, especially when you're, like you say, trying to flip this whole regime over. I mean, new coach, new front office, new players, new system. It's just a lot of moving parts going on right now with the Lions. And like I said, it's going to be growing pains going on with them. I love Coach Campbell and his philosophy. I love the fact that they got a lot of ex-NFL players over there as part of the coaching staff. So I do think that things are going to turn around. But if you look at it, man, the last regime, they left us with a mess, man. I mean, they got rid of a lot of great players on this team, from this team. You're trying to replace those guys. A lot of leadership left out the locker room, so you're trying to replace that. So it's a lot of things that Coach Campbell, that coaching staff, Brad Holmes, it's a lot of things that they're going to have to put in place before we have the constant success that we know that we're looking for and that the Detroit Lions fans are looking for. So right now, man, we just taking our lumps right now, and hopefully it won't be too many more lumps that we have to take, but it's just part of the growing pains of trying to get this organization back on track.
Talking to NFL Hall of Fame nominee Lomas Brown. Loman, I'm going to back that up with one other question. I talked about this before you got on the show earlier. You were an individual that was very intricate in that locker room. You can bridge the gap. You can be with the older cats. You can be with the younger cats. And this started when you were young, by the way, because you have an old soul. But you can be with the younger cats. Yeah. You can be with the older cats. You knew how to talk some stuff. You knew how to not talk stuff. You also were able to go to the management, front office, as well as the head coach, and be that buffer for the players and be that voice person. You got to have that leader in the locker room like you yourself were. Do you see anybody on the team that could possibly fill in those shoes? Because I know they're young. Or is that something that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have to go out and find this offseason?
That's a great question, man. And, just looking right now, the makeup of that locker room, it's hard right now. It's hard to say who that leader is right now. Because everybody's so young on that team. You could maybe look at a guy like a Frank Ragnow, the center for the Lions, who's their best offensive lineman. A guy that's well respected there. Of course, a lot of people like to look towards the quarterback, but I just think Jared is still trying to get his feet up under him, just still trying to get comfortable with being in the system. Maybe a guy like Tracy Walker, can be a guy that can step into that forefront. But you're right, it's not a lot of guys. I know they're probably still in search of those guys, trying to bring those guys in who they know can be that buffer, like you say, between them, management, between them, the coaching staff, but also be that voice in the locker room. Because, Braylon, NFL season, you're going to have your ups and downs. It's going to be like you're on a roller coaster, but you need somebody in that locker room that can kind of keep the tempo like that. Just keep everybody like that on an even keel. So I do think that you might have a couple of possible people in that locker room, but I do think they're still trying to search for those people that they can put in there that can be that even keel type of leadership that they need in there.
Hey, Lo, it's Maz. Thanks again for coming on. We love having you on here. I wanted to talk to you about something that happened in the last couple of days with Dan Campbell and Jamie Collins now. They told him basically, look, Jamie, we're going to try to trade you. Stay home. We're going to do our thing here. I got respect for you. We don't want to have you in the locker room when all this stuff's going on. You've been here through a lot of coaches. And last year, Matt Patricia, what he did to Darius Slay and a couple of other guys on that team, let him hang while basically he was doing bad things behind their back and trying to deal them. How do you feel that Dan Campbell has handled this situation, first time as a full-time head coach?
Well, so full disclosure, I'm going to be biased because me and Dan Campbell played together for 2 years with the Giants. So that's my guy right there. But I do think he's handling it the right way. I mean, again, you don't want to have what you call so-called the lame duck player in the locker room, or a guy that knows that he's on the trading block. You want to give him every opportunity you can for him to find a home, or for his people to try to find some place or a trading partner for him. I think it's wonderful what he's doing, instead of, like you saying, having them in there kind of leading them on, or having them think that he may be with the team when they know they're trying to trade him. They've laid all their cards on the table. And as a player, you can respect that. You can respect the honesty of the coaching staff. So I do think the way he's handling it, I do think that's the proper way of doing it. I know if that was me, I would want them to be straight up with me and probably do some of the same things that they're trying to do with Jamie Collins. So, the only kind of reservations I have, and maybe they have already tried to do it, is I just think, second game of the season, I just feel that they need to try to scheme more for those linebackers to have more success. Maybe it's a scheme that they could put them in that may help them a little bit more. And maybe they've already tried that, and I'm just not privy to that information. But that's probably the only thing, because I just think the second game of the season, that's just sure kind of early, to turn the dial or turn the page on the player. But, like I say, maybe they tried to scheme it to where those linebackers can have more success, and they just figure that the best thing for them and the organization is for Jamie Collins Sr. to move on to a better team or better pastures.
Talking to Lomas Brown Lions radio analyst, also a Pro Football Hall of Fame nominee. I got to take a 30-second pause, and then I want to explore that. What would that mean? What does it mean to get into that group? We'll explore that. And Lomas, I got a fun question for you. I'm going to put you on the spot. And I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to put you on the spot. It's a fun question. We'll have that 30 seconds from now. Lomas Brown, Woodward Sports Network. We are back with the great Lomas Brown, one of the greatest Lions ever to wear the uniform. 11 seasons with Detroit, definitely. A Pro Football Hall of Famer now, and
soon to be
current radio analyst. Lomas, just quick, let's get the fun one out of the way right now. So 11 seasons with the Detroit Lions. I went back this morning. I was hard at work with the crack staff research department. Me. You blocked for at least 11 quarterbacks in 11 seasons. Can you name them?
Man, that's a great question. Let me see. My first quarterback was Eric Hipp.
Yep.
I had Andre Ware. I had Rodney Peete. I had Eric Kramer. I had the Magic Man, Don Mikowski. I had Bob Gagliano. Chuck Long.
Oh, my God.
I'm missing the easy one.
Bob Ferguson.
Joe Ferguson.
I'm sorry, Joe Ferguson.
There's an easy one, Long.
You're only missing 3.
There
Scott
we go.
Mitchell.
You're only missing 2.
You got. I'll give you the 2. I'll give you the.
Charlie Batch one of them?
Nope.
Nope.
Dave Craig.
Oh,
That's right. That's right.
And for a cup of coffee, Gino Torretta.
oh, Gino.
Oh,
wow.
Goodness, I forgot about Gino, man.
He blocked for 2 Heisman
Heisman Trophy winners.
He blocked for 2 Heisman Trophy winners and played with another one. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Hey, Lomas, but speaking of this Hall of Fame situation, do you feel, because let's, Alex, put the resume up there that Mike O'Hara tweeted about yesterday. Do you feel, Lomas, that sometimes because you spent the bulk of your career with the Detroit Lions, I mean, look at this resume. Because you spent the bulk of your career with the Detroit Lions, that somehow works against you. I almost feel like if you played for the Giants or the Cowboys or the Packers, you'd have been in the Hall of Fame a decade ago. You know, I mean, how do you view this?
Well, I think the one thing that I do think hurt me being with Detroit is we had some great regular seasons. We won pretty good in the regular season, but it's the playoffs, it's the postseason wins that we didn't have a lot of success with. And we went to the postseason a lot. You know, I think we went there like 5 years that I was there in the 90s. We went to the playoffs, but we didn't win. And Braylon, you know that, man. That's when you get a chance to really put your name up there and out there, is during the postseason. And unfortunately, we couldn't do that when I was with the Lions, because you think about it, I played with a lot of great players. You know, Kevin Glover, Jerry Ball, and Chris Spielman, and Benny Blades, and Herman, and all of them. I could just go on and on with some of the great players that I played with that I thought should get a lot more recognition than they got. But I just truly believe, because we didn't have a lot of postseason success, I just think that kind of hurts my case with the Lions. Plus, I'm a big fella. They don't treat the big fellas like they should. I mean, look at Emmett. As great of an offensive line as Emmett had, he only got one in the Hall of Fame, and that's Larry Allen. You know, so I just think they look at the big fellas, since we don't get the stats, you know, we don't get in the end zone, you know what I'm saying? They don't look at us as seriously as they should. And I just think that combination of not having a lot of postseason success and also being a big fella, I think those are the 2 things that kind of hurt me a little bit.
Yeah, Lom, you're 100% correct, because I heard people last year at the end of Julian Edelman's career talking about him for the Hall of Fame, and I said, hell no, it's no way. But the only reason why they're talking about him is why? All the success that he had in the playoffs, the postseason, and then obviously the catch he made against the Falcons, the infamous 28-3. Here's a more fun, lighter side question. Here's another fun one.
Maz hates the Patriots, Lomas. Sorry.
You know me. I'm always trying to tell jokes when I see you. I'm always trying to make you laugh, which is not hard. So I don't know if I'm funny or you're just that nice of a guy. Who was the locker room guy for you? Like, who was the funny guy in any team that you played with that you miss? Because, like, when we were talking about it, what we miss isn't the game. It's not Monday Night Football. It's not the helmet. It's the locker room. It's the camaraderie. It's the brotherhood. Who's that funny guy that you would go to practice for just to see and couldn't wait to hear a joke? Or some Jones?
I'm going to tell you, man, I don't know if it's a wide receiver thing, Braylon, but that darn Brett Perriman, that was a fool there, man.
It's Terry Foster's guy.
That boy was crazy there. He always cracking jokes. You know, he always pulling pranks. Brett was crazy, man. And Brett, and little as he was, Braylon, I'm telling you, one of the strongest players I ever been around, because Brett could bench press 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
my
that
gosh.
ain't no joke. You can ask anybody that was in that locker room. We seen it do it itself. So I just think Brett Perriman was one of those guys, man. You always had to be on your P's and Q's, because he'll try to sneak you with a joke or two. And Barry was like that too a little bit. You know, he'll try to jab you, try to be that quiet assassin, and try to jab you with a joke or two. You know, you had to think about his jokes, his punchlines, but he'll try to hit you with a few. But definitely Brett Perriman was the guy in our locker room.
Something about wide receivers and defensive linemen, because, man, D linemen got jokes. Like I played with a guy named Calvin Pace, DN, with the New York Jets. Actually born and raised in Detroit, played for Wake Forest. Man, he cracked jokes on people's suit. Like, you know, travel day, they come in with the suits and you think you feel good. He talked about a rookie so bad, the rookie went home and changed and put on some jet gear. Calvin Pace.
I believe it.
Hey, Lomas, you talk about these guys. I mean, it just brings me back to really the golden era of Lions football in the modern era. I mean, you say 75, I say Lomas Brown. You say 84, I say Herman Moore. You say, number 54. Robert Porche's in there as well. I mean, all of these guys in this organization. You know, do you think, in with the change in ownership, with Sheila Ford Hamp taking over, do you think that you try to do something a little bit better to take care of those guys? Put some numbers in Ford Field that people can be proud of, that people can look up and say, you know, because I see 84 in the preseason game, Lomas. I actually want to vomit. I saw number 4 go out there. I mean, I see number 4 for Siebert kicking for the Lions, and I just cover my eyes. I'm like, nobody should wear number 4 on the Detroit Lions as long as I live. You know, it's just like, do you think the organization could do a better job recognizing former players of a golden era of the modern era of Lions football?
You know, it's funny you say that. That class, especially the 91 team that got one game away from the Super Bowl, we talk about that all the time. You know, we feel that, you know, it's not enough made about, you know, that team. And yeah, we didn't go on and win a Super Bowl or anything, but right now, as of right now, that's the best team in Lions championship team. That's the best team in Lions history. You know, when we finished 12-4, and like I say, lost to Washington in the NFC Championship game. And I think the other thing too is that now that I'm doing radio and a chance to go around to all these other different stadiums, and you see them embrace the past. You see their players, you know, all on the walls at their stadiums. You know, you see their legacy up everywhere. And yeah, you know, I do think it could be a little better for us. I mean, you know, to be honest with you, I don't understand why Barry don't have a statue up somewhere. Come on, man. I mean, you know, the greatest Lion of all time, and, you know, he doesn't have a statue up. So, yeah, I do think that can get better. I'm hoping that it does get better, you know, and I know that Sheila Hamp Ford, I know that's something that she takes a lot of pride in what she's doing with the organization, how she's turning it around, how she's putting her fingerprint on it, and hopefully that'll be something that they kind of keep trying to do, keep trying to embrace the past, because that's how you're going to learn. That's how these young guys, that's how you keep these young guys from bumping their heads, is talking to these old vets, talking to us guys that have sat in that locker room, that have been where they've been at, you know, to keep them from making some of the mistakes some of us made. So, yes, I hope they do continue to do that, because I do see it a lot of places that I go and visit at other stadiums.
Hey, Lo, I wanted to ask you about the owner, Sheila Ford Hamp. And this weekend, Calvin Johnson's getting his Hall of Fame ring at halftime. Yeah. And Braylon and I were talking in the back before Ryan got in from his Fox duties. And we were just chatting. And you know what would be really cool is if they handed him a check for $3 million at midfield out of Sheila's pocket.
The number went up.
Yeah.
The number went up since we talked.
He'd have to pay tax on that.
I don't care. I'm just
That's
saying.
a mean gift.
How cool would that be? And shouldn't they do that? Come on, man.
Hey, I'm with you, man. Again, you talking one of the all-time greats. I mean, I don't understand, and like I said, I'm not privy to what went on or any of the talks that went on before. But I just know Calvin feels one way, and to me, if you are out here and you're an ambassador, see, we're the closest people that talk to the fans. The fans have more access to us older players, us retired players, than they do the so it seemed like you would want the retired guys to say great things about the organization, have a great experience with the organization. Plus, if you think about future free agents that may want to come to Detroit, you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't look good. The optics just don't look good when you got one of your all-time greats that's upset with the organization over something, over money, and that's, guys make their livelihood, and this is a tough livelihood to make in the NFL, and that's a sore subject when you start talking about digging in somebody's pockets and taking their money out their pockets. So, like I said, I'm not privy to everything, Maz, but to me, that would be one thing that I would continuously try to get corrected is the relationship with Calvin Johnson and the relationship with all my alumni. I would make sure that's something that's on the top of my to-do list and make sure it stays up there. So that would be nice. And I bet Calvin would think that would be nice if they presented that gold jacket. They get a ring too and a check. I bet he think that would be nice too.
Just slide that check in that coat pocket and call it a day, baby.
There you go.
Hey, Lomas, you've been so gracious with your time. I do want to leave you with this question, though, and it's something that we love to talk about. You spent your entire career, what we believe is a Hall of Fame career at left tackle.
No doubt.
Penei Sewell. Talk to us about him and Taylor Decker. We sit here, we think we know what we're talking. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just see a kid that looked lost at right tackle, goes to left tackle, and looks like he's the second coming of Lomas Brown. What do you see, and what would you do if you were presented with, what Dan Campbell is going to have a really big test here? What do you do? Taylor Decker, when he comes back, what do you do with this situation?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I'm putting them back at right tackle, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because and Braylon, you know this, man. It's such a big learning curve in the NFL. It really is, man. He still has a lot to learn, and if I could buy some time with him over at the right tackle position, trying to get himself together, getting his foundation up under him, again, technique and everything, and I'm telling you, I agree 100%. He looks great over at the left tackle position. But you got Taylor Decker that looks good over at the left tackle position, that's a more seasoned veteran. And, I just think if you could just put Taylor back at left tackle, put Penei Sewell back over at right tackle, just give him a little bit of time to get acclimated to the speed in the NFL, to get acclimated to some of these different pass rushes that he'll see in the NFL. You're gonna have a long time with him. Think about it. He's just 20 years old. He's still a young guy. He got a lot of years ahead of him. But right now, I just think he'll make the line better at the right tackle position. Because, again, Matt Nelson, who hasn't done a bad job over at the right tackle, I just think Penei Sewell is a better fit over at the right tackle position than Matt Nelson would be. And to me, that'll just make the whole line just a lot better. You put Taylor Decker back over at his natural position, the left tackle position. Now, in years to come, if that's next year or the year after, yeah, they're going to have to make some decisions about what they do. But in the short term, I would put Taylor back over at left, and I would move Penei Sewell back over to the right tackle position. I just think he'll make that whole offensive line better. And that's what they're going to need, especially with Jared Goff being back there, being young, still learning the system. And Braylon, them not having too many weapons at the wide receiver position, bro. You see, you can't 100%. Really stretch the field right
not
now.
At all.
So you're going to need to be able to run the ball and have success running the ball.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually had a question in there, but you explained exactly what I want to ask you and talk about. Is I was in favor of moving him to left tackle permanently after I saw the game against Nick Bosa. I said, hey, you know what? Taylor Decker, 6 years, he hasn't made the Pro Bowl. Plus, he has more experience. You can put him at the right tackle, and he should be there. He should be better there naturally. Man, I realized that he was only 20 years old, turning 21 next month. He didn't play last year. He's a young guy, and like you said, you got to get acclimated to the speed, Ryan. That's the one thing that people talk about. What's the biggest difference? And it's not necessarily speed in terms of 40 times. It's not 4.3 to 4.3 because the speed is the same there. It's the speed in which the players that have been in the league, what do they know, Lomas? They know the game. They do the homework.
That's right.
That's how they're faster. So once he catches up to that, I like him in right tackle for the future, learning that position, and Taylor Decker. That's a mean offensive line.
Lomas,
you're right.
We certainly appreciate your time, my friend. We can't thank you enough for your time here on Woodward Sports.
Thanks, Lo.
Hope to do it again soon, and best of luck with the Hall of Fame. We believe you're a Hall of Famer on the field.
Yes.
We know you're a Hall of Famer off the field, so we certainly appreciate it.
Amen.
And I appreciate y'all taking care of my man Braylon.
We got him.
Hey, Stan and my mom told me to tell you hi via text. I was texting him as you were talking, so he say hi.
And make sure you tell Herman hello,
Hey,
too.
you know it ain't nothing but love. You
I
already
wanted to say, love you, big guy.
Lomas, he's taking care of all of us. Over here, this guy.
Don't believe that.
Thanks so much. Best of luck to you. The great Lomas Brown,
See
Hall
you,
of
Lo.
Fame nominee, Pro Football Hall of Fame nominee.